What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our tournament preview for the 2021 Canadian. It's not the Canadian Open, Craig. It's the Palmetto Championship at Congaree. Yeah, it was the Canadian Open's time slot, but not this year. We're gonna have to wait for 2022 to have the PGA guys up in Canada again.
Yeah, there's a lot of golf tournaments being canceled up in Canada right now. That's the way it is. Yeah, hopefully next year we got a good one.
Yeah, this is our quick preview show. We're going to try to give you a bunch of information in a quick period of time here. Let's jump into it. As we said, this is the replacement tournament for the Canadian Open. Canadian Open will be back in 2022. Knock on wood. I feel like that's a fairly safe statement to say, but it'll be at St. George's Golf and Country Club in Toronto, out east, of course, unfortunately for us West Coasters. And this is obviously the last tournament prior to the 2021 U.S. Open. So kind of jam-packed couple of months here, and this is going to be an interesting tournament.
Yeah, a little bit of, bittersweet in terms of the fact, well, we'll get into the course in a sec, but, not having a Canadian Open, but we get to go to an interesting course that we don't otherwise get to see. So, it's not great, but, yeah.
Silver lining for
Silver
sure.
lining.
So usually we have our former winners over there, but we don't have former winners here. We have no course history. This isn't the Canadian Open, so it's a bonus preview. We got the U.S. Open qualifier on Monday, June 7th. As you're watching this, or maybe a little bit after you're watching this, and I'm sorry for repeating it, but seven different U.S. Open qualifiers will be running on Monday. Golf Channel calls it, golf's longest day. They're going to have Golf Central kind of covering as much as they can, I believe. But a bunch of notables that will be playing. We got Ricky Fowler, Keegan Bradley, Charles Schwartzel, Charley Hoffman, a lot of the young up-and-comers that we love, the Doug Gims, the Cameron Davis. So definitely a big day on Monday. Go over to the USGA website. You can kind of track all their scores there and who's going to get that extra last-minute invite to Torrey.
Yeah, and, with the way those four are playing, guys will be trying to qualify that you could say legitimately have shots to win the tournament, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Legit shots. I mean, those guys are trending up for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky's got those new prescription sunglasses.
He's got the sunglasses.
It's all figured out.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Congaree Golf Club. I think I'm saying that right. I think I got it right a little bit. It's a brand new one. It opened in 2018. It's in Jasper County, South Carolina. I tried to look at it for, directions for weather. It does seem a little bit in the middle of nowhere, and that makes sense because it's built on 3,200 acres. Tom Fazio design. It is an interesting, it was awarded, I think, best new private club in 2018. It is a private club, but Craig, it's kind of interesting philanthropic model for the youth. They give back a lot. I think you were doing a little bit of reading on that.
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, it's been started by a couple of billionaires, essentially. But sort of they built it with the idea that it was going to serve a purpose as a very nice high-end course for a handful of members who are not actually, it's in the middle of nowhere. So they come in to play it when they play it. But then, in concert with that, it's a place where people who cannot afford or, for economic or parental or social reasons, they can't really, they're high school golfers that would not potentially be able to continue on and take to the next level. So they do a 4-week program where you get to go, these people go on site, and they're, it's educational. It's about golf. It's about, if you're trying to get into a college, they kind of prep you for everything that goes into that. Awesome. And then, more than just say, teaching you, some golf lessons, like how do you approach fitness if you want to be serious about golf? How do you approach equipment selection, count the mental side of it, all those things. And then one of the things in the reading I've done about it is that so these kids would go there for this 4-week program, but then they actually have as part of their ambassador and advisor program, they actually have people who then throughout the rest of their high school and into their college careers kind of keep tabs on these people to make sure that if there's anything they can do to help out, then they're a resource for them, which is just cool to see, a high-end course that would otherwise not be touched by anyone other than rich people doing something good.
Very, very cool. And that's actually growing the game. There's been a lot of growing the game kind of talk thrown about. That's actually how you grow the game. That's wonderful to see. I'm not going to sit here and BS you that I know a lot about the course. I don't. It's a par 71. It's 7,600 yards plus, long. From what I read on quick kind of PGA.com and Wikipedia, kind of resembling Australian sandbelt type courses, but it is long. So I'm sure more information will come out as the week progresses. That's when we have our other preview shows and DFS shows. So as we learn more, we're going to share it with you.
Yeah, and the long, a couple, or at least one that I know of, long par five, and a few long par four. So I think distance is the one thing we know will come into play. To me, it's sort of, it's not on the sea, so it doesn't really necessarily remind me of Kiowa, but somewhat similar in terms of the fairly wide, but then with big sandy waste areas. And then the other thing I was reading is that a lot of elevated greens. So whereas you think these wide open, kind of more windswept type courses that you could play it along the ground, but it is more elevated greens. So maybe the one thing I was thinking, maybe a little bit similar in that way to Concession, with those elevated greens that can kind of fall off in every direction.
But as a golf fan, it's always cool to see a new course. Yeah, it really is.
Especially one that we, are seeing for the first time.
And we'll never play.
Yeah.
So we always talked about, we don't have horses for courses obviously this week. So right into our trending players, golfers coming in hot. This is good recent form for them. It's a fairly interesting field here, but Craig, here's 5 guys that are kind of trending, at least for my list. So Garrick Higgo's number 1. He did come over to the U.S. for the PGA Championship. He finished T64 there. Kind of very middling, but good for his career, but not kind of where his expectations were, because he had that crazy stretch on the European Tour right prior to that with 4 straight top 10s, including 2 wins.
Yeah.
And fairly dominating wins in the Canary Islands. So still playing really good golf. He made the cut at the PGA Championship, which I think is saying a lot. So he is the number 1 trending golfer.
And at a course there that I don't think we thought really set up that well for him. And I don't think this will be as the greatest setup for him either. So I think it will be interesting to see him a bit more when we do get courses that are well suited to what he does well. But
yeah, for sure. Number 2, number 3, we're filming this Sunday afternoon. The results of the Memorial are not in. Branden Grace is in the mix. It's looking like a top 5 finish, so he comes in at number 2. Prior to that, he had to withdraw to Charles Schwab after round 1 to a bad back. But even prior to that, he had made 7 of his last 8 cuts, including that win in Puerto Rico. So that win, that consistent kind of cut made streak, we had that little withdrawal asterisk, but it's not immediately coming into this. He has that top 5. So that's enough to get number 2 on my list.
Yeah.
Number 3, Charley Hoffman, kind of disappointing Memorial. He did make the cut, but I think he's going to be finishing 50s, 60s around there. Not kind of what he expected. But prior to that, 5 straight top 20s, including a second and a T3. So he's been playing really well, and he doesn't get excluded. I kind of have that rule. If you're off a missed cut, you're off the list. But he made the cut.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there's not a ton of people who are playing this. There's not a ton of people who are going to be playing this week, that's just finishing at the Memorial and next week and going to the U.S. Open. So you do see a little bit, some people chose to play next week. Some people chose to play this week.
Yeah. Brandt Snedeker is number 4. A kind of a nice quiet resurgence from Brandt. 5 straight made cuts, 3 of which have been top 30s. And just to show you how much of a turnaround that is, his best 3 finishes of the entire season have come in that stretch. So it was pretty bad before that. So he's playing really well for his season right now. And number 5, Vincent Whaley, kind of a DFS darling as of late. He's coming in with 9 straight made cuts, including 4, the last 4 all top 30 or better. Doesn't have many starts on the PGA Tour in his career. He only has 1 top 10. So that's something to note. 1 top 10, and that was the 2020 Puerto Rico Open. But he does have 4 straight top 30s and those 9 straight made cuts. So consistent, but not quite getting to the top a little bit of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I've been trying to tell you, Vince Whaley's a GOAT, and you're not jumping on board.
I want to see a little bit, and I want his ownership to come down.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a little bit out of control right now, but I'm still going to ride the wave probably. Okay, so we're not doing horses for courses this week because clearly this is the first time we've been to this course. So we do have first look projections. Now, again, first time at the course, so it's a very vanilla model this week. We're really looking at very generic numbers. With that said, Matt Fitzpatrick comes out on top. Terrell Hatton, DJ. DJ is probably lower than people think. He could arguably be up top, but when you look at his last 2 years worth of strokes gained numbers, they're not as good as you would think. He did have a stretch there where he was basically unbeatable, but he also has played some really ugly golf he played some ugly golf before that, and he's played some ugly golf since that. So we'll see if he does start to turn it on here again. But for now, he's third in the model. And then Harris English and Brooks Koepka will be fifth here. Another guy who likely I would give him a bump up in my own rankings, just because inconsistent play over the past 24 months, he is lower in the rankings here.
Yeah, and I think we're at that point now where we kind of need to see something from DJ. We need to light a fire under him a little bit and get him going to bet him in confidence at majors, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure. And from a U.S. Ryder Cup point of view, they need to see him turn it on, because essentially, I think he's basically already got enough points that he's going to be on the team for sure. And
yeah.
I mean, even if he didn't have the points, I think you're going to pick him. But you do want to see a little bit of form from him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that leads us to the most interesting man in the field. Craig, last week, Bo Hoag. He's playing really well. Bo Hoag, our boy Bo, is playing really well at the Memorial. This week, we're going John Pack. So it's his professional golf debut. He made a little bit of headlines this week because he won the Jack Nicklaus Award just in the past few days here. Also, Ben Hogan Award recipient and Haskins Award recipient at FSU. So basically, he was the best collegiate golfer in the NCAA over this past year. He's playing very, very well. I think he has an absurd kind of 17-1 record against guys in the top 25. Like, he's playing very, very well. He was low amateur at the 2020 U.S. Open. So he does have kind of that experience on a harder course with these same guys. So that is nice to see. And going back to the 2019 Walker Cup, he's the only player with a perfect record there. So I think a guy, tons of talent. I don't know a ton about, but obviously coming in hot. First professional golf tournament will be interesting to kind of see. We don't have a ton of star power here. So these featured groups, we might get interesting. Maybe he kind of even sneaks into a featured group for Thursday, Friday, which would be kind of interesting.
Yeah. I do think, another interesting one is Davis Thompson, who will be turning pro. I think this is his professional debut. So, one of the things with a weaker field is that some of these guys who are young and hungry and chomping at the bit, maybe they come out and do something special in their pro debuts.
They get like that official card before Zalatoris.
Yeah, exactly. Something to keep an eye on for sure.
So it's our way, way, way too early weather forecast, Craig. Again, I was looking at the map here. I think Ridgeline, South Carolina is the closest city I could find. It's 8 miles away from the course, so I went with that. That's what I'm going
80 with. 80 miles away.
No, 8.
Oh, 8. Oh,
just
okay.
8. Yeah, so it's fairly close. Some thunderstorms, actually quite a bit of thunderstorms. So hopefully for the guys playing in the U.S. Open and for everyone else and for the fans, the golf fans, because it's not fun doing showdown videos when we have rounds all over the place like we had for the Memorial. Hopefully it kind of straightens out, but right now it looks like there's thunderstorms and rain kind of every day.
Yep, so hopefully we can try to get around a day in, and if not, we'll be playing catch-up all week.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for watching. That's kind of our patchwork tournament preview for the Palmetto. It is a new course, a new tournament, so we try to give you as much information as we could. Please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Our the Memorial podcast will be dropping Monday as well. Link is below. There's a few things to talk about, including John Rahm, Brooks Bryson, and also the Memorial, I think. So there's going to be a pretty
there's an interesting finishing it looks like coming together, but a lot of other things to talk about too.
Yeah, so make sure to go down below in the description, download the podcast so you can listen to that on Monday, Tuesday. And thank you everybody for watching.
See you next time, guys.